What is an 8-letter word for fun? Let's call it Scrabble. Joining us from the Scrabble Club, we welcome Gary Moss.
Hello.
Hi, Gary. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining us. Though I've played Scrabble maybe once or twice in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for this interview because you are the champion and you're going to walk me through this entire game, right?
Well, most people are just like you. They've played once or twice. They might have some interest in it. And most of the people that live here in the village, they have no idea at all that there are 2 Scrabble clubs here. We have one that plays on Monday afternoon at 1 o'clock at Clubhouse 5.
Okay.
And that one is for basically beginners. And then I run a club on Wednesday evening at Clubhouse 7. And that's for people who are really into playing the game competitively.
Competitively, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, excuse me, you talk about those 2-letter silly words.
Well,
are those the most challenging?
Yeah. Well, they're not the most challenging, but they are the most important. I had a lady that was walking into our Scrabble club every Wednesday evening when we were playing back over at the golf course near the 19th hole. She would walk into the door and she would say, I want to play with you guys, but I'm not going to play any of those silly 2-letter words.
Oh, gosh.
Okay? There are 107 2-letter words that are allowed in playing the game.
Okay.
And the 2-letter words by themselves aren't really that important, and you usually don't score many points. But what they do is they allow you to take this word and hook it to this word, because all of these places where they hook are usually 2-letter words.
Got it.
So it's really an important part of the game. And even though they are silly because they don't account for much of the scoring, they are important to help you play the game. And that's an important facet of the game.
Well, it sounds like a building block.
Yeah, it is a building block. I had a new player who just came last Wednesday for the first time. And the first thing I do is I introduce them to the 2-letter words.
Okay.
And I tell them, here's a little self-test that I've prepared for you. And now you have to spend the next month once or twice a day taking a little 5-minute test to learn the 2-letter words.
Okay.
And if you apply yourself, you can do it.
And so that's building the proper foundation to then play the game.
Sure.
Correctly?
We all have our own vocabulary of many words.
Sure.
Do you know how many words the average person on the street knows?
Well, they probably repeat the same ones over and over again. I know I'm guilty of doing that.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I don't have a specific number.
Well, the average person knows about 5,000 words that they use over and over again in their normal conversation. But the Scrabble dictionary has 170,000 words
Wow.
in it.
Well, we better get to work.
Yeah.
That's a pretty thick book.
Yes, it is.
So that's an interesting factoid about that game. But Gary, you've got on your notes to talk to you about the man who lost everything. What is that about?
Well, it's more of a concept that I apply to Scrabble players. There are more than 2 types of people, but there's the person who lost everything. Some of them stay down and they're out. There are other people that lose everything, but they get up again and they try again. Mm-hmm. And for a Scrabble player, you have to be the second type of person if you're going to show up. We have many people who show up, oh, I love this game, I've played this game. They lose the first time, they lose the second. You would expect to lose, wouldn't you? If you went to play golf with
Absolutely.
Arnold Palmer, you would expect to lose. So you walk into a room of seasoned Scrabble players and you lose the first time or two, and most of these people, you never see them again.
Really?
And then there are the few who come and they pursue it. And losing is not bad.
It's part of the process of learning.
That is absolutely right. And we all go through that. And if it's something that we're truly interested, we do get up again and we pursue it again. And so I believe that anyone that has an interest in words will become a Scrabble champion in their own right.
And I would assume that by playing Scrabble, you're eventually going to broaden the vocabulary base, right? Just by studying and learning new words that come up in the game.
Absolutely. You'll learn words that you never thought you'd ever even hear, let alone learn. One lady way back, I've been in this game 40 years. So about 40 years ago, we were sitting and I was a newbie and she was talking that she was a coin collector.
Okay.
And she said, Gary, would you mind going through this dictionary and making a list of words that are coins and monetary units? Well,
that sounds like an undertaking.
that was a pretty big task, but I didn't know better at the time. But I ended up learning words like Ngwee, Ngwee, and Ekpwele, Ekpwele. You know, just like dime and penny and quarter are our monetary units here.
Right.
Those that I mentioned and many, many others are monetary units in countries around the world.
I was going to say, it sounds like a foreign language.
Yep.
So tell us about the lessons that...
Well, the lessons are really important if you want to become better in the game. Now we have a number of really fine folks that play over at Clubhouse 5 on Monday afternoons who come for the camaraderie.
Right.
And they come for the cookies that are served at the game. But they don't really apply themselves to the lessons. Now, some of them have been playing here for 30, 40 years. The very first club, Scrabble club in the country, started here in the village.
Is that right?
Yeah, in 1970 by a lady who lived here then, Geraldine Wink. And that club still goes on today on Monday afternoon.
It's fabulous. Now, is that the experienced club or is that the beginners club?
That's the beginners club.
Okay.
And many of the people that are there have been playing for 20 years here, and their vocabularies still, contain the words that we use on a daily basis. So you don't have to be a serious player to play here. However, for me, it makes it more interesting if we learn words. And one of the goals is to score more words than your opponent and to stump them. So I make it a point to come to every session with a word that I've learned that nobody else may know.
My goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
It's definitely a game to keep the mind sharp.
That's one of the big things about Scrabble. Even though we use words, it's a memory game. And who do you think would be the very best Scrabble players? Librarians, school teachers, mathematicians, newspaper writers. Who would be the best?
Oh, out of them?
Yeah.
Out of those? I suppose people that practice the most.
Well, mathematicians tend to be the best Scrabble players because when you look at the number of letters and the different variations that you can create with those letters, mathematicians think that way.
Okay.
Now, you don't have to be a mathematician to play the game, and most people aren't. But if you take that factor, like take the word race, R-A-C-E. If you take it and you scramble the letters, you can make the word care, C-A-R-E, same letters.
Right.
You can do that with longer letters, and those are called anagrams when you use the exact same letters.
Okay.
So you can unscramble letters, and mathematicians have that skill.
Wonderful. Wow. Well, when I grow up, I'm going to be a mathematician.
Okay.
I love expanding the mind. Gary Moss from Scrabble, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, I hope people will come to my talk on October the 20th.
Okay.
And come to one of the clubs on Mondays or Wednesdays.
All right. You heard it there, folks. You're watching This Day on Village Television. We'll be right back.